problems in math are quite complex, and you could see like many arguments in some algorithms, or I don't know, in some theorems, and you need to combine those parameters and to try to find a solution. But in software development, I think it's even more. I think some of the problems in software development are more complex than some of the problems in math. Not like in intellectually more complex, but I mean in terms of number of arguments and different parameters and stuff like that. So the notion that we should limit ourselves and pass only 3 or 4 arguments in each function seems to me a bit weird, because there are tons of things that you need to consider at a certain point of time. I don't know. I mean, software development in general is tough because it requires some theory behind it, but you don't have theory before you write the program, right? The only way to find the truth is just to try and experiment with different cases and with different type of structures for your particular thing that you're building. And you can't just, you can try to cover most of the cases. I think I have never tried it. Maybe I should try to write all the cases that I can even imagine on a piece of paper. But something tells me that even if you do this, probably you will not I don't know, probably you will miss something for sure, and those things can be found only when you experiment and write code, and I don't know. And when you found the solution, right, it's always a bit complex and you gotta simplify, but the amount of cases and the amount of like data structures, different arguments are so huge that you're thinking like, yeah, I can, but you don't see necessarily the benefits of those things. I don't know. Maybe I should write a paper for each function I have and somehow gather them together and just to see the whole picture. I don't know. But when you write the code, you already write a solution, you already write a sort of either a draft for your solution or just some working code. But it's quite difficult then to translate it back to the normal language. It requires a lot of work. Well, this is what I would say. And it's not just you're explaining the code, because you can read the code, right? Anyways, I think it's more important to describe the reasons behind particular lines of code, and maybe some diagrams, maybe some pictures which you can include in paper, and just to try describe each line of the code. Even if you do this, it's still quite complex. You still need to read those things, you still need to comprehend, although it's much it's more clear when you do through the paper. In university, I always dreamed that I could at some point write a programming kind of like programs for each how it's called, numeric algorithms, right, in math. And it's a quite noble idea, I think, and probably at some point in the future I will definitely try to do that. But I think that in those cases it's much simpler because someone already got through so much theory in their lives. They studied certain problems so many times in so many forms, and that you just know what to do, right? When you know what to do and what to program, you can do it easily, and you can map two things like paper and the code, and you can understand easily everything. But when you don't have any theory, I mean nothing, like even the how to draw the slurs, right? Which is insane task, to be honest. uh, to cover all the edge cases, I mean, yeah. And even that, you don't have any theory. I mean, you of course you have theory on curves and like splines, cubic splines, of course. But I mean, like how to apply these things to music, that's another question. Because like I found many applications and open source libraries which draw those slurs. I mean, in some of the tools, right? Like Unison, but they do it so poorly, man. It's just insane. It seems like they don't really solve those problems which I was solving. But yeah, I spent, I don't know, maybe in total like 6 7 months just on slurs, which is insane if you think about it. But it's not like I was spending the whole time, of course, on this stuff. But quite unbreakable periods of time, I was just spending only for slurs. Yeah, this is extremely difficult problem to solve. It's not like you need to draw certain cubic splines, and even S-shaped slurs, man, it's just insane. You need to glue them. You need to glue them in a way that it will, be as smooth as possible. So yeah, you gotta know some theorems in particular, like differential formulas and stuff like that. So it's not that easy, but yeah, luckily I managed to do that. But what I was speaking about, I mean, what I was talking about is like when you trying to write a code without any theory behind it, it's you're basically doing double job. You exploring the theory, because it's not like you can imagine all the cases and like in theory, right? You need to. Many people think that theory comes just out of our minds and that's it, but I think it's very far from the truth. I think that any theory is developed by the practice, and without practice, without seeing the real edge cases, it's not possible to build complete theory on anything. So yeah, this is what's difficult really about software